Who do you think you are? I know who you are. Seb. I know what you crave, what you fear. Will you be able to live with yourself knowing what I'm gonna make you do? Poor little Joseph couldn't. Too bad they dragged you into this. But either way, you're mine. To do with as I please.
Ruvik is one of the most, if not the most, interesting character in the game The Evil Within, which is a very good thing, because unlike the main protagonist of that game, Sebastian, we actually learn almost everything there is to know about who Ruvik is, where he came from, and what his motivations are. Put simply, Ruvik is probably the most fleshed out character that we're given in the first game.
Ruvik, I created this world. You cannot keep me here.
The story of Ruvik as we know it begins with a boy named Reuben Victoriano, son of the wealthy Ernesto and Beatriz Victoriano. From a young age, Reuben was proven to have a brilliant, albeit deranged, mind. Even as a boy, he made several advances in the field of psychotherapy, which caught the eye of a fellow scientist by the name of Marcelo Jimenez. But although Reuben was achieving incredible things, the methods of which he was using were quite distasteful. And though he would still strive to make these new discoveries, there was always a part of him that held back for fear that others would see him as a monster.
Men of science are dedicated to the pursuit of knowledge. You can show me your experiments. I can show you things.
You wouldn't like them. You'd think they're gross.
In science, one must do any number of things a layperson may find disgusting. I've done many things others would consider distasteful.
You think I'm some kind of a monster?
You concern yourself so much with your appearance, but that mind of yours, that's all that matters.
However, even though Reuben had a fear that some would view him as evil, there was one person in his life that he didn't have to fear that of. One person who seemed to understand him, and that person was his older sister, Laura. Laura and Reuben were very close in Reuben's younger life. She was the only person whom he loved more than anything, the one person whom he fully trusted, which is why, when she perished in a fire caused by local villagers, Reuben's already unhinged mind began to crack. And to make matters worse, due to the fire, his father Ernesto, either out of shame or disgust, couldn't bear the sight of his disfigured son, and unbeknownst to Ruvik's mother Beatriz, locked him in the basement beneath the Victoriano estate. And it was in this darkness that Reuben's mind began to slip away. The small amount of innocence that he had before the fire was replaced by a burning rage and a new life's goal, to recover what was taken from him, to bring back his beloved sister Laura.
Everything I have, everything I am, has been taken from me since the accident by those who seek to consume me. They are in the darkness, with only the phantoms of my mind to comfort me, to taunt me. I nearly lost myself completely. But then I saw her. Deep down I know she was only an apparition, but I would regain my face, recover what was taken from me, restore her. My beloved sister, Laura.
Eventually fed up with his resignment to the basement by his father, Reuben escaped his confinement and killed both of his parents, staging their death as the result of a car crash. And with them both out of the picture, Reuben secured the majority of their assets, which allowed him to donate to the local mental hospital, now run by his acquaintance Marcelo Jimenez, in exchange for test subjects for his experiments. It's also after his parents' untimely deaths that Reuben and Marcelo began collaborating together on a new project known as STEM, with Reuben being the visionary behind its conception, while Jimenez seemingly provided the resources for its construction. However, things between the duo soon began to complicate. Jimenez had been going behind Reuben's back and taking his various research, spreading it to academic journals under his name in order to bolster his own reputation. Meanwhile, Reuben's donations to the hospital began to fall behind, causing conflict between the two. And worse still, the powerful shadow organization with which Jimenez was aligned, known as Mobius, was requesting Reuben to take part in their plans as well.
This research here, this is exactly what we've been looking for. I call it STEM. I'm sure you and your superiors will find this most satisfactory.
You mentioned the design was from a pupil of yours. In that case, where do you fit in?
He is an unstable individual. Perhaps it is better that I continue to be the one to contact in this situation.
I'd like you to bring this man in. You should all be able to have a productive conversation. What did you say his name was?
Reuben Victoriano.
With Reuben now being part of Mobius, he and Jimenez created a working model of the STEM system. But, unbeknownst to Jimenez, Reuben had programmed the system in such a way that it would only work if connected to his brainwave patterns, an issue that Jimenez didn't have the skills to reverse. And though Reuben's reasoning for doing this was presumably so that his work would not be taken from him, in the end it was this decision that would bring about his demise.
By the time I realized Jimenez had betrayed me, it was too late. I was so close. He knew it. Knew that I was too focused to notice when he brought those men. They'd never gotten past my traps otherwise. Their device is a perversion of my own. The device I should have created. My data, my equipment, my theories, my mind. They replaced my husk of a body with a new dimension of torment.
Betrayed by Jimenez, Reuben was forcibly brought to Mobius. The answer for his disobedience was to kill Reuben and stuff his brain into the system to power it as the core. Reuben Victoriano was no more. His already severely scarred body had been broken down and dismembered until the only thing that remained was his brain. However, even though Reuben had been killed, inside of the collective consciousness of the STEM system, Ruvik was born.
They've managed to keep his mind alive by simulating an artificial body. His consciousness is being confined to a mental straitjacket, a gear in their infernal machine. They have even stricken his name in humanity, referring to him by an anagram, Ruvik. A crude joke, as if spitting on his grave. I almost felt the urge to smash the case and end it right there. But my anger was quickly replaced by scientific curiosity.
While inside of the STEM system, Ruvik's main goal seems to be to find a way to escape. Luckily, prior to his death, he seemed to have already figured out a pathway for him to do so. While he and Jimenez had been working on the STEM system, one of their subjects was a boy named Leslie Withers. And while Ruvik had singled him out as useless in his notes, this was more than likely a way to keep Jimenez from the knowledge that he was special. And even better, due to Jimenez's need to know what was inside of STEM, Leslie was delivered to Ruvik on a silver platter, when Jimenez flipped the switch to pull in everyone within a certain radius of Beacon, including Leslie, into the system.
But why Leslie? What makes him special?
Leslie was not always like this. He became catatonic after a traumatic experience as a child. His family was murdered in front of him. The data would suggest that brainwave synchronization with Reuben correlates to specific trauma. In this case, Reuben's own loss of family.
During the events of the game, Ruvik is attempting to find a way to control Leslie's mind. And even though he may have several run-ins with others that are present in the system, their fates aren't really of that much importance to his overall goal. A goal which, despite the best-made attempts of people like Jimenez and Kidman, Ruvik eventually succeeds at in the end.